2015 World Cup has got off to a blockbuster response.
This is absolutely terrific. Passionate Indian fans here in Melbourne colonizing the city, supporting India.
And we had headlines till 7 to get our viewers the best coverage.
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching the Cup That Matters.
We travelled down under, not just to interact with fans.
Favourites?
I'll tell you what, I'll buy everyone a curry if we win.
You'll buy everything?
Okay, get ready for a champagne treat from us.
Fabulous. So it's curry versus champagne here at the MCG.
But also get up and close with cricketers who the fans want to see.
Australian captain Michael Clarke talking to an Indian news channel for the first and only time.
I'm joined by former Pakistan captain Rameez Raja. I'm joined by Barry Richards.
I have with me David Warner. David, thank you very much for talking to me.
I'm joined by Russell Arnold with Johan Botha, former South African captain, to talk about it.
Here's some special coverage of the best interviews from the 2015 World Cup.
Now this is a very special interview. Australian captain Michael Clarke on a comeback trail, almost there for the World Cup, elevated himself to a different pedestal in the cricketing world after what happened to Phil Hughes. The whole world realized that this man is there for the game and has given the game more respect. Talking to an Indian news channel for the first and only time. You know, from Brisbane to now, when you had that injury after getting that 100 in that test match in Brisbane, many thought that, you know, it's perhaps not going to work. I mean, you yourself said in that press conference, it's perhaps the end of your career. And from then on to now, it's been quite a journey. I mean, talk me through that. How difficult was it to make the comeback? Did you believe that you can come back after injury? How difficult was all of it?
No, there was. I think when I got injured, once I got the result of my injury, I thought there was a chance that my career could have been over. Obviously, I've had, you know, my back concerns through my whole career that I've been able to manage. You know, I got diagnosed with degeneration in my back at 17 years of age. I'm now 33, so my back hasn't stopped me playing cricket for Australia. But I think the build-up of hamstring injuries over the last 6 months, certainly, you know, I believe that my back was playing a big part in that. So I thought there's obviously, you know, doing my hamstring again and tearing it and needing surgery. I didn't know how long the recovery time was going to be, and I didn't know how bad the injury was going to be. So I not only had to get the hamstring that I tore right, my left hamstring had problems as well, and I had to manage my back as well. So, you know, there was always a chance that my body wasn't going to recover, that my body was telling me that it was time to walk away. So through hard work, like I say, and challenging myself every day, I've had to push my body to the maximum limit to see if I can cope with playing at the highest level. And fortunately, I've been able to do that.
You know, Michael, when I look at this team, David Warner, Aaron Finch, Glenn Maxwell, incredible form, Steve Smith, perhaps at the top of his game, you coming back, George Bailey, Mitchell Johnson, Pat Cummins, one can keep going on and on. It seems to me to be a side that is, you know, completely unbeatable. I mean, on home conditions, it's got all the balance in batting, bowling, fielding. Do you actually feel that, you know, it's an unbeatable side? You guys are the favourites going into this competition?
Well, I certainly don't say we're unbeatable. I don't think any team ever is unbeatable, and especially in a major tournament like the World Cup where pressure plays a big part. Expectation, there's certainly expectation. You're playing, I think for Australia and New Zealand, because you have home ground advantage, there's always going to be extra expectation. Whether we're the favourites or not is irrelevant to me. Like I've said to the boys, it's about us playing our best cricket, and it's about building momentum. You know, I think obviously you would love to win every game you play in the tournament. That's the dream. But I think more importantly, it's about getting better. Every time you walk out onto the field, you're improving. Because come quarter-final time, that's the knockout stage. You need to be at your best at that time.
Final few questions. Personally, for Michael Clarke, what does this World Cup mean? I mean, I know it's a big comeback. How do you explain to me? I mean, how does the World Cup sort of appear to Michael Clarke going into this competition? What are your goals, personal goals?
Firstly, to get on the park and stay there, and secondly, I think try and help Australia win this World Cup. I think it's going to be a challenge, there's no doubt about it. We are going to have to play our best cricket, but my goal is to try and help Australia win this World Cup.
For you, team always comes first. I know that. Having said that, it is also an individual sport. I mean, there's individual achievement and there's team achievement. Talk a little bit about that. Your team has so many match winners. I mean, will they rise up to the occasion? How much is it about individuals sort of making the stage their own?
Oh, it's not about individual performances at all. I don't care who makes the runs. I don't care who gets the wickets. It's about trying to help the team win. There'll be times, someone like Glenn Maxwell, for example, will bat at 6, 7 or 8, and there'll be times he might even walk out and open the batting. To me, it doesn't matter who takes the wickets. If Dave Warner's bowling leg spin and takes 5 wickets, that's as good as Mitchell Johnson taking 5 wickets. I've never cared too much about individual performances. I've cared about everybody doing their part to help the team win.
After the Aussie captain, we went to one of the most destructive batsmen in the World Cup.
He's destroyed India all of the Australian summer, hundreds at will against India in tests and one-dayers. Several of the former legends have picked him as the X-Factor player of the World Cup. I have with me David Warner. David, thank you very much for talking to me. Incredible form. What's the secret?
Oh, I think the secret behind success is a beautiful lady, and Candice has been fantastic for me, and we've been blessed to have Ivy in our world. And I must say, having great family support and having support from your teammates makes you play the way you want to play, and it gets the best out of you.
Michael Clarke, your captain, is actually making a comeback to this team after injury. There's been so much talk. Steve Smith versus Michael Clarke. Is he in the best space? How do you react to that? How has the team reacted to a Michael Clarke coming back?
He's our skipper. Simple as that. We're always going to open our arms and welcome him in. He's a great player, fantastic player, great one-day cricket player, and a great brain. He's been leading us for the last couple of years, couple of series wins, couple of series losses. But that's what happens in cricket. You can't win every game, but he's got our utmost respect.
On the one hand, I see David Warner, X-Factor player in the World Cup. On the other hand, cricket's bad boy. David Warner will be red carded another time. ICC has warned him, you might be fined, you might be banned. There's a love-hate relationship going on constantly with you and the Australian media. Which is the David Warner that you sort of perceive? How do you react to such media criticism on the one hand and such adulation on the other? You must be finding it very difficult. How do you react to that?
I don't listen to it at all. I just go about my business, and that's probably why, if I keep getting warned, I play the game that I like to play, and that's aggressive cricket. If there's a confrontation out in the middle and it's involving myself, well, I'm going to always argue the point, but try not to step over that line. And that's what us cricketers are about. When you're out in the middle, what you see on TV, anyone can say this is what's going on out there, because no one actually really knows what's going on out in the middle. We're invited to into everyone's households by being privileged to be playing on TV. So you're not going to like a certain player all the time. I think a lot of people who get to sit down with the players and get to know them a little bit more, I think people will realise what they're about. Because not just what you see on TV is what you get.
From being thrown out of the Australian team, Joe Root and the Punchgate incident, cricket's bad boy, to David Warner, the match winner, hundreds at will, 11 hundreds in test matches, multiple hundreds in one-day games. What has changed over time?
In one-day cricket, I'll say that it's been able to learn to adapt to the condition itself, as in you can still play the way I play in test match cricket. That's batting normally, picking the gaps. I do that in test cricket so well, why can't I do that in one-day cricket? And I've always thought that through my head, because I try and probably go too hard too early in the one-day stuff. Now for me, I set myself a goal. If I get through 10 overs, I want to be there at the power play. And that's been my goal throughout the last sort of 6 months. And it's worked for me, and it's working for the team. So if I can do my best like that and get the team off to a good start, then we're going to be in a great position.
We were the only channel to review the Indo-Pak clash with two veterans, Saurav Ganguly and Rameez Raja.
We promised you this face-off, two very good friends, but unfortunately for Rameez, his team did not stand up, and it's still 6-0.
Thank you for being so gracious to remind me. I'll always remember this compliment from you. But you've got all the rights to rub it in. I mean, Pakistan, unfortunately, just not good enough. And it's not only a mental block, but I think the skill levels were below par as well.
One can understand he's angry. Having said that, Saurav,
no, because he means well for Pakistan cricket. It's always been the case. And
do
even
you
when
see
he
this
played,
Pakistan team going forward?
even when with my ordinary bowling, I kept nicking him out. Thanks to
Saurav for ending my cricketing career and forcing me into the commentator's
I
job.
don't think I was that good enough to finish his cricketing career. He was such a legendary player for Pakistan. I think this team can still be good enough. I think when they won in '92, Imran Khan had a plan. They batted differently. When they came in 1999 in England, Pakistan had a plan. They made Razak bat at 3 and gave him a role. Gave him a different role, and they need to do that in these circumstances as well, because they have weakness. India also has weakness. It's not been exploited by Pakistan, because Pakistan has been weaker than India. But when you play good teams like Australia, when you play good teams like South Africa, India's weakness will also be exposed.
Welcome back to our special World Cup coverage. Our next destination is Melbourne, where we caught up with Australia's opening batsman Chris Rogers, who analysed his team's chances in this World Cup.
If I were to ask you, who are your sort of top 4? I mean, and why so? Obviously, you've said Australia. Will it be sort of the usual Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, India?
Yeah, I think so. I think that was the semi-final lineup. I think the World Cup promoters would be very happy, and a lot of supporters would be happy. So. Yeah, I think they're the four sides I think who can win the World Cup.
And in terms of X-factor players, I mean, people are talking about Kohli, McCullum, De Villiers. Your top 5 X-factor players in this World Cup?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can discount that those 3 players. They're unbelievable and can do anything. But also that there's some bowlers as well who are going to be very important. I think. Particularly for Australia, Mitch Johnson is going to be crucial, and Dale Steyn, and even you look at what's happening today with Tim Southee. So there's a lot of players who can change the course of a game, and that's just what's making this World Cup excellent.
Then it was time to set up the Indo-South Africa clash for you. We did our best to get you the best. We had former South African skipper Shaun Pollock to talk about the match and much more.
Shaun, 1999, I remember your performance as well, 5 for 36, incredible. I mean, do you think that was the best side, or would you rate this side at par and think they have a really good chance of going the distance?
Yeah, I'm always careful about rating teams as the best teams because, from year to year the game plans change, how the game's played is different. And you also got to respect the guys that came before. When they hear you say, no, that was the best team, they're sitting at home and they go, hey, what was wrong with the team I played in? But I think we had the best opportunity to win. We played some really good cricket in that '99 World Cup, and the fact that we got so close. Basically, we were one run away from a World Cup final, and then I would have fancied ourselves against Pakistan.
Does it haunt you still?
No, I think you learn a lot from those. Sport's about winning and losing, and it's not actually always about the performances. It's more about how you deal with the circumstances that you're faced with. So I think it taught us a lot about ourselves, made us very resilient, or myself. And I put my best out there on the semi-final day, and it wasn't enough to help the team over the line. So you've got to learn to put those things behind you, because there's plenty of disappointments in sport. In fact, you probably fail 90% of the time, because every time I went to the crease I wanted to get 100. That didn't happen all that often. And every time I went to the crease I wanted to get 5 wickets. And that also didn't happen as often as you would like. So there's plenty of failures, and it's all about learning to deal with it.
Sort of this choker's tag, I mean, that we have labelled from the media on South Africa. Every team, even India, if you see India's performance in the final, every team fails when it comes to big pressure matches. They've had a history, but why South Africa? Is it sort of a media labelling that actually haunts the team?
See, obviously the quality of side they are, and they've been over the years, right from the day they came back to international cricket, they've always had the side which would win. Just look at the quality of players which South Africa has produced over the years. Anybody who knows a little bit about the game goes to the team sheet and says, Jesus, this is the team who can win the World Cup. But then that hasn't happened. So that's probably one of the reasons why people keep saying this. But I've said before in our show that my gut feeling says that it's time for them for something big, and I won't be surprised if they go all the way this World Cup. And because you cannot be a good side for such a long period and not win the biggest tournament. Yes, there's a factor of luck, but how long can luck go against you? Because the quality of players they keep producing all the time. So I won't be surprised if South Africa's World Cup.
Shaun, final question, prediction. You see South Africa going at least to the semi-finals, if not the distance?
Ideally, when you get into the knockout stage, you now all of a sudden have to get used to that pressure that it's do or die. Either you produce or you're on your way. And what would you want? You'd probably want to play against a lesser team in the first knockout game, because that would just allow you maybe a few mistakes here and there, and then still allows you to ease through into the semi-final. So, and there's a good chance maybe you play a lesser team who finishes number 4 in the other opposition pool. So I think it's huge, but I do feel that South Africa have got the potential, and if they hit their straps at the right time, at the end of the day, this World Cup's about the last 3 games. You have to win 3 in a row under the pressure of knowing that if you win, you're through, and if you lose, you're out.
I'm sure Headlines Today viewers have enjoyed this interaction, because I have thoroughly enjoyed speaking to both these legends. Shaun Pollock and Sourav Ganguly, thank you very much. Thank you.
And finally, we had a very special guest reviewing India's performance against South Africa.
I'm joined by Barry Richards, South African legend, one of the best ever batsmen to have played this game, and perhaps the best man to talk about India's batting performance in this World Cup so far, especially about that Shikhar Dhawan knock and Ajinkya Rahane's classic. Barry, impressed with Shikhar and Ajinkya?
I was. I mean, Virat Kohli for me is still the best player, because, I mean, I just love the way he goes about his business. He plays the ball so late, hands beautiful, but the other two played superbly, and, I mean, India now are a real force in world cricket. If they can get their fast bowling right, and I think they are getting there, they will be a real force in this World Cup.
Final question. South Africa, 1999 came that close before that explosion happened in Alan Donald's head. Is this the best side that can redeem the C tag? Can this go the distance?
Well, I always worry about the fifth bowler. The fifth bowler is going to be targeted by good sides. I mean, we've got 4 good bowlers, provided they stay fit, and and Stein's the real X factor for us. But the fifth bowler is always a major concern. I mean, it's a very, very good side, and you missed out 92, where they would have beaten England, and they would have won the World Cup, and we wouldn't have had all of this. But I mean, it's something that they've got to get over eventually, and I think this side is good enough to do it, but it's not going to be easy.
This is just the beginning. We at Headlines Today promise to continue to get you the very best and win the cup with Team India.
With Manish Mathur, Boria Majumdar in Melbourne for Headlines Today.